The basement of the Cotton Club, Harlem, August 1938. Bumpy Johnson sat at a corner table counting money when Joey Gallo walked in with 5 men behind him. The music upstairs was loud enough to cover screams. Joey had been drinking, his eyes bloodshot, his expensive suit wrinkled from a night of gambling in the Bronx. He walked straight to Bumpy's table, knocked over a stack of bills, and did something no man in Harlem had ever dared to do. He spat directly in Bumpy Johnson's face. The room went silent. Bumpy's enforcer, Junie Bird, reached for his gun, but Bumpy raised his hand slowly. He wiped the spit from his cheek with a white handkerchief, folded it carefully, and placed it on the table. Then he looked up at Joey Gallo and smiled. That smile would haunt Joey for the next 2 hours of his life, because Bumpy Johnson never forgot an insult, and he never reacted the way people expected him to. August 1938. Harlem was burning hot, not just from the summer heat, but from the tension between black and Italian gangs. The numbers racket was the most profitable illegal operation in New York City, pulling in millions every year, and everyone wanted a piece. The Irish had been pushed out years ago by Dutch Schultz. Schultz had been gunned down in New Jersey in 1935, leaving a power vacuum that the Italians tried to fill. But they hadn't counted on Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson. Bumpy wasn't the loudest gangster in Harlem. He wasn't the flashiest. He didn't throw wild parties or drive gold-plated cars. What Bumpy had was something far more dangerous: respect. He'd earned it the hard way, starting as an enforcer for Stephanie St. Clair, the queen of Harlem's numbers game. When Schultz tried to muscle in, Bumpy was the one who organized the resistance. When Schultz ended up dead, people whispered Bumpy's name. By 1938, Bumpy controlled most of Harlem's gambling operations. He paid the cops, took care of the community, and kept the peace. But the Italians downtown weren't happy about a black man running such a profitable operation. They sent emissaries, made offers, tried negotiations. Bumpy listened politely and declined every time. Then they sent Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo was a made man in the Profaci crime family. He was 28 years old, ambitious, violent, and stupid. Not book stupid, street stupid. The kind of stupid that made a man think disrespecting Bumpy Johnson in his own territory would make him look tough instead of dead. Joey had been sent to Harlem with a message from Joe Profaci himself. Join us or face the consequences. Pay tribute or watch your operation burn. Joey was supposed to deliver the message with respect, maybe a little muscle for emphasis, but respect nonetheless. Instead, Joey showed up drunk, angry from losing money in a Bronx card game, and looking to take out his frustration on someone. He chose the wrong someone. The Cotton Club was neutral territory, a place where black and white, gangster and civilian could mix without immediate violence. It was owned by the mob but respected by Harlem. The basement was different. The basement was where business happened, where money changed hands, where problems got solved permanently. Bumpy was down there every Tuesday night, same time, same table, conducting business like a CEO running a board meeting. His crew knew the routine. Junie Bird stood by the door. 2 more men sat at nearby tables pretending to play cards. Everyone who came down those stairs was expected to show respect. Joey Gallo stumbled down at 11:47 p.m. with 5 men behind him, all Italian, all armed, all convinced they were untouchable because they had mob backing. Bumpy looked up from his counting, registered Joey's condition, and went back to his money. That casual dismissal infuriated Joey more than any insult could have. Joey knocked the money off the table, bills scattering across the floor. "You deaf nigger, I'm talking to you." Bumpy's men moved, hands going to weapons, but Bumpy's raised hand stopped them cold. He looked at Joey with the calm expression of a man who'd seen this performance before. "You Profaci's messenger?" "That's right," Joey slurred, "and you're going to listen to what I got to say." "Then say it," Bumpy replied quietly, "and pick up my money while you're at it." Joey's face flushed red. His man shifted nervously. They'd expected fear, maybe anger, but not this cold, controlled dismissal. Joey leaned across the table, his breath reeking of whiskey and cigarettes. "Profaci wants 50% of your take, every week, cash. You don't pay, we shut you down." Bumpy nodded slowly, as if considering the offer. "Is that the message?" "That's the message." "Then you delivered it. Now leave." Joey's hand slammed down on the table. "You don't dismiss me, boy. I dismiss you." That's when Joey spat in Bumpy's face. The glob of saliva hit Bumpy's left cheek and dripped down toward his jaw. Time seemed to stop. Junie Bird's gun was halfway out of his jacket. The card players stood up. Joey's men reached for their weapons, but Bumpy just sat there, perfectly still, letting the spit drip. Then he reached into his vest pocket, pulled out a pristine white handkerchief embroidered with his initials, and wiped his face clean. He folded the handkerchief carefully, placed it on the table, and looked up at Joey with that same calm smile. "You got 2 hours," Bumpy said softly. Joey laughed. 2 hours for what?" "To make peace with whatever god you pray to, because in 2 hours, you're going to die."
The basement went absolutely silent. Joey's smile faded. His men looked at each other nervously. "You threatening me?" Joey asked, trying to sound tough, but his voice cracking slightly. "No," Bumpy said. "I'm telling you a fact. You walk out of here, you've got 120 minutes to live. Use them however you want. Pray, run, call your boss. Won't matter. 2 hours from now, you're gone." Joey tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out wrong. Bumpy's expression hadn't changed. No anger, no heat, just absolute certainty. Joey backed toward the stairs, his men following quickly. "You're dead, Johnson. You and everyone you know. Profaci's gonna burn Harlem to the ground." Bumpy didn't respond. He just looked at his watch, noted the time, and went back to picking up his scattered money. The moment Joey's crew cleared the stairs, Junie Bird moved to Bumpy's side. "You want me to follow them?" "No need," Bumpy said. "They'll go to Joey's social club on Mulberry Street. He'll drink more, tell everyone how he disrespected me, wait for Profaci to hear about it and give him backup." Junie looked confused. "So why 2 hours?" Bumpy pulled out a small black book from his jacket, flipped through pages filled with names, addresses, and numbers. "Because I need 30 minutes to make some calls. Joey needs 45 minutes to get to Mulberry Street and get comfortable. That leaves 45 minutes for what happens next." "What happens next?" Bumpy looked up, and for the first time that night, his smile disappeared. Justice. At 12:15 a.m., Bumpy made 3 phone calls from the Cotton Club's private office. The first was to Detective William Harris, a Harlem cop who'd been on Bumpy's payroll for 6 years. "Willie, I need a favor. Joey Gallo just declared war on Harlem in my basement. He spat in my face. I need you to be somewhere else for the next 2 hours." Harris didn't hesitate. "What about reports?" "There won't be any reports," Bumpy said, "because there won't be any witnesses." The second call was to Dominic Tessio, a mid-level soldier in the Genovese crime family. The Genoveses hated the Profacis, old grudges, territory disputes, blood feuds that go back to Sicily. "Dominic, you want to send Joe Profaci a message?" "Always," Dominic replied. "What did you have in mind?" "Joey Gallo's at his social club on Mulberry Street. He just tried to shake me down. Profaci didn't authorize it. Joey went rogue." Dominic was quiet for a moment. "You sure about that?" "Positive."
"Profaci's too smart to start a war over Harlem. Joey's drunk and stupid. He's a liability." "Where'd you hear Profaci didn't authorize it?" "From Profaci's lawyer," Bumpy lied smoothly. "Had lunch with him yesterday. Profaci wants peace. Joey wants glory. Do the math." The third call was to Freddie Monroe, Bumpy's best enforcer. Freddie had done 10 years in Sing Sing for a murder he didn't commit and came out owing Bumpy his life after Bumpy got his sentence reduced. "Freddie, you remember that favor you owe me?" "I remember." "Tonight we're collecting. Get 3 cars, 6 men total. Clean weapons, nothing traced to us. Meet me at 125th and Lenox in 20 minutes. "What's the target?" "Joey Gallo. And Freddie, make it look like the Genoveses did it." At 12:47 a.m., Joey Gallo sat in his social club surrounded by 8 men, drinking grappa and bragging about how he'd humiliated Bumpy Johnson. "You should have seen his face," Joey laughed. "Just sat there like a dog, didn't do nothing. These Harlem niggas is soft, always been soft." His crew laughed, but 2 of them exchanged worried glances. Disrespecting Bumpy Johnson wasn't a story you told with pride, it was a story that got you killed. One of Joey's soldiers, Polly Riz, cleared his throat. "Joey, maybe we should call Mr. Profaci, let him know what happened." "Why?" Joey snapped. "Profaci sent me to shake that monkey down. That's what I did." "But did Mr. Profaci tell you to spit in his face?" Joey slammed his glass down. "I don't need permission to disrespect some uppity black gangster. You scared, Polly?" "I'm cautious, Joey. There's a difference." At 1:15 a.m., 3 black sedans pulled up 2 blocks from Joey's social club. Freddie Monroe checked his watch, loaded his Thompson submachine gun, and briefed his team. "We go in fast, hit everyone in the front room, and get out in 90 seconds. Leave the Genovese call-in cards Bumpy gave us, scatter them on the bodies. Police find them, they think it's a mob war. Make sure Joey Gallo goes down first. Bumpy wants him to see it coming." The 6 men moved through the dark streets like shadows. 1 stayed with the cars, 5 approached the social club. The front door was unlocked, guarded by a single man smoking a cigarette. He saw them coming and reached for his gun, but Freddie put 2 bullets in his chest before he could draw. The sound of gunfire brought Joey's crew to their feet inside, but they were too slow and too drunk. Freddie kicked open the door and opened fire. The Thompson roared, spitting bullets across the room. Joey dove behind the bar. 3 of his men went down immediately, blood spreading across the wooden floor. Polly Riz pulled his gun and got off 2 shots before Freddie's second man cut him down. The entire room was chaos and smoke and screams.
Joey crawled toward the back exit, glass cutting his hands, his ears ringing from the gunfire. He could hear his men dying behind him. He reached the door, grabbed the handle, and pulled. It didn't budge. Someone had locked it from the outside. He turned and saw Freddie Monroe standing over him, the Thompson pointed at his head. "Bumpy sends his regards," Freddie said. Joey's eyes went wide. Wait, I got money, I got connections, I can..." Freddie pulled the trigger. At 1:18 a.m., exactly 2 hours after Joey Gallo spat in Bumpy Johnson's face, Joey Gallo died on the floor of his own social club with 12 bullets in his body. Freddie's team scattered the Genovese calling cards, small pieces of paper with a black hand printed on them, an old Sicilian symbol. They wiped their weapons, torched the getaway cars in 3 different locations, and disappeared into the night. By 2 a.m., the police arrived at the social club. By 3 a.m., Joe Profaci heard the news. By sunrise, every gangster in New York knew what happened, and more importantly, they knew why. Joe Profaci called an emergency meeting of his captains at 6 a.m. He was furious, not at Bumpy Johnson, but at Joey Gallo for starting an unauthorized war. "That stupid kid nearly cost us our relationship with the Genoveses," Profaci raged. "Now they think we're moving on their territory." His consigliere, a gray-haired man named Tony Scarpetti, shook his head. "Don Profaci, I don't think it was the Genoveses. The calling cards could be planted. Joey went to Harlem last night, disrespected Bumpy Johnson. Witnesses say he spat in his face." Profaci went pale. "He did what?" "Spat in his face, in front of Johnson's crew, in Johnson's own territory." Profaci closed his eyes and pinched the bridge of his nose. "That idiot! That stupid, drunk idiot! What do we do?" Profaci opened his eyes. "We do nothing. Joey brought this on himself. If Bumpy Johnson wants to send a message by making it look like a mob head, that's his business. We don't retaliate. We don't investigate. We pretend Joey died in a Genovese dispute, and we move on. And Harlem stays Bumpy's. We don't touch it. We don't even look at it. That man just orchestrated a perfect hit in the middle of Little Italy, made it look like internal mob business, and reminded every family in New York that he's not to be disrespected." At 8 a.m., Bumpy Johnson sat in the same basement of the Cotton Club, reading the morning newspaper. The headline read, "Mob violence erupts in Little Italy, 9 dead." There was no mention of Harlem, no mention of Bumpy's name, just a story about Italian gangsters killing each other over territory disputes. Junie Bird sat across from him. "You think Profaci bought it?" "Profaci's smart," Bumpy said. "He knows exactly what happened. But he also knows Joey was out of line. He'll take the loss and move on. And the Genoveses. They'll deny involvement, but they won't complain about the Profacis losing soldiers. Weakens their rivals." Junie shook his head in admiration. "You started a mob war without firing a single shot yourself." Bumpy folded the newspaper and set it aside. "I didn't start anything. I ended it. Joey came to my house and disrespected me. I gave him 2 hours to make it right. He chose to drink and brag instead. That's on him. What about the handkerchief, the one Joey spit on?" Bumpy reached into his jacket and pulled out the white handkerchief, still folded, still stained. "I'm keeping this. Reminder that respect isn't given, it's earned. And when you disrespect a man who's earned it, there are consequences." The story of what happened to Joey Gallo spread through the criminal underworld like wildfire. Different versions emerged. Some said Bumpy hired hitmen from Detroit. Others claimed he'd made a deal with the Genoveses. A few whispered that Bumpy had supernatural powers, that he could curse a man just by looking at him. But everyone agreed on one thing. You didn't disrespect Bumpy Johnson and lived to tell about it. For the next 30 years, until Bumpy's death in 1968, not a single mobster, black or white, ever raised their voice to him in anger. Not in negotiations, not in disputes, not even in private conversations that got heated. The 2-hour deadline became legend. Gangsters used it as a cautionary tale for young soldiers getting too confident. You know what Bumpy Johnson told Joey Gallo? 2 hours. That's all the time you got if you disrespect him. Joey didn't believe it. Joey died believing it. What made the story powerful wasn't the violence. Violence was common in organized crime. What made it powerful was the precision. Bumpy didn't react with emotion. He didn't lose his temper. He made a promise, set a deadline, and kept it with surgical efficiency. Years later, in 1965, a young boxer named Cassius Clay, recently renamed Muhammad Ali, came to Harlem for a rally. He asked to meet Bumpy Johnson, the man he'd heard so many stories about. They met at a small restaurant on 116th Street. Ali was loud, confident, performing even in private. Bumpy was quiet, watching the young champion with amusement. "Mr. Johnson," Ali said.
"They tell me you're the toughest man in Harlem, the baddest man alive." Bumpy smiled. "They tell me you're pretty tough yourself." "I'm the greatest fighter who ever lived," Ali declared. "I beat Sonny Liston. I'll beat anyone they put in front of me." "I don't doubt it," Bumpy said. "But let me tell you something, champ. Being tough isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how smart you can think when someone disrespects you. Any fool can throw a punch. It takes a wise man to make a move nobody sees coming." Ali leaned forward, genuinely interested now. "Like what?" Bumpy pulled out the old white handkerchief from his jacket, still stained, still folded the same way. Like keeping a promise. Like making sure when you say something's gonna happen, it happens exactly the way you said it would. That's real power. Not muscles, not guns. Your word. Ali stared at the handkerchief. He'd heard the story. Everyone had heard the story. That's from Joey Gallo? Bumpy nodded. That's from a man who thought disrespect had no consequences. He learned different. You kept it all these years? I keep it as a reminder. For me and for anyone who sees it. Respect isn't about fear. It's about consistency. You disrespect me, there's a consequence. I tell you what that consequence is, then it happens. Simple as that. Ali was quiet for a long moment, the showmanship gone. When he spoke again, his voice was different, thoughtful. That's some heavy wisdom, Mr. Johnson. You'll need a champ. You're about to be the most famous black man in America. People are going to test you. They're going to push you. They're going to try to make you react emotionally. Don't. Stay smart. Stay consistent. Keep your word. That's how you win wars without throwing a punch. They talked for another hour. When Ali left, he shook Bumpy's hand and said, "Thank you for the lesson." Bumpy watched him go and smiled. The young fighter understood. The real fight wasn't in the ring. It was in maintaining your dignity and your word, no matter what anyone threw at you. Bumpy Johnson died on July 7th, 1968, of a heart attack in Harlem. He was 62 years old. Thousands attended his funeral. Gangsters, politicians, community leaders, police officers who'd been on his payroll, and cops who tried to arrest him stood side by side. At the service, someone placed a white handkerchief on his coffin, not the stained one from Joey Gallo. That one disappeared, probably destroyed or kept by family, but the symbolism remained. Bumpy Johnson had kept his word, always, without exception. And in a world built on lies and betrayal, that made him more feared and more respected than any amount of violence ever could. The story still gets told in Harlem, in barbershops and bars, to young men who think toughness means aggression, to anyone who needs to understand that real power isn't about the gun you carry, it's about the promises you keep and the consequences you deliver when someone crosses the line you've drawn. If this story of precision, respect, and the deadliest 2 hours in mob history inspired you, hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Share this with someone who needs to understand that the quietest threat is always the most dangerous, and let me know in the comments, what would you have done in Joey Gallo's position? Keep fighting for your crown, and I'll see you in the next one.